folks, how you doing? How you feeling? Welcome to this week's episode of Search and Report, and what is essentially the first episode of this new year of Search and Report. I am your host, True Fernie. Shit, man, I'm always terrible at intros, but as you all know, you can listen to this podcast on Spotify on the go. Just search for Search and Report on your podcast section. Also, this podcast is available, at least the visual version is available on my YouTube channel, True Fernie. So make sure to subscribe and enable that notification bell so you can get notified whenever I upload these episodes, as well as other videos, because I am a little bit of a thing called a YouTuber. I'm just playing. Well, I am, but whatever. Without further ado, let's get into the first news item of the week. Hold on. Before that, I'm going to tell you what I've been playing this past week. Actually, since the last episode, what I've been playing, I recently beat Spider-Man Miles Morales, which I will say is one of my favorite games of the next generation. Obviously, I've only played that one, so it's not a lot I can say about it. There's nothing else to compare it to, but what I do like about it, and I think I'll probably do a full-on review of the game, because I did capture a lot of footage for it. It is an exceptionally short game, and I think the price tag kind of, alludes that it was going to be a short game. I think this game started as only as a DLC for Spider-Man, the 2018 game from Insomniac Games. But honestly, like, the story, even though it's very short, it does feel like a full-on new game. Like, of course, it shares a lot of the battle mechanics. It shares a lot of the traveling. Like, a lot of the game design is still there, but it adds so much to it with, graphical upgrades, with just the style of just how different Miles Morales plays than from Peter Parker, that, it kind of is its own game in essence. A shout out to that reviewer who said, Miles Morales, makes you feel, like you have the exaggerated swagger, because it does feel like that. I know what he was trying to say, and like, shit, man, you could have used way better words, but it's a lot more, it's a more stylized game than the original Spider-Man game. I will say that it has a lot more charisma. It's a lot more, I don't know, it feels like a fuller experience as far as the story goes. And then besides that, I have also been trying to beat Paper Mario, the Origami King. Like, Jesus Christ, man, like, I keep forgetting that I still got to beat that game. I like that game a lot. I don't know, man. There's been just too many games last year. People keep saying that 2020 was such a bad year. First of all, make sure you check out my 2020 video and review that I just did a few weeks ago. Actually last week, or I don't know, time doesn't exist. But yes, there was just a lot of good games last year that I still have to, beat. I still got to beat Doom Eternal, of course. I still got to beat, first of all, I got to beat the first Last of Us. Then I can go to the second Last of Us, and then actually, see what people were angry about. But I've also been playing, I recently just bought Red Dead Redemption 2 because it was half off on the PSN store, and with those gift cards that you get on the holidays, I had to buy it. I absolutely adore the first Red Dead Redemption. I remember it was probably the only game I played besides GTA 4 on my PS3. Like, seriously, the amount of hours I put in Red Dead Redemption 1 is astounding. Like, oh my god, man, I know more about John Marston than I ever want to know, and he's in the second game, which is amazing. So I've been trying to play that. I'm enjoying it so far. It is a very slow game. It starts off slow, I should say, but it's slowly getting there. It's slowly getting to the good stuff, and honestly, I don't mind slow games. I don't like long games. I don't mind slow games. I do not like long ass games. I don't have 100 hours to invest in some of these games, man. But yeah, that's what I've been playing over the holidays mostly. So yeah, without further ado, I've talked enough. It's been 5 minutes since I started the episode, so let's get straight into the first news item of the week. The Switch The Switch eShop has officially made it a rule that games can no longer be sold for less than $1.99. This comes from a recent effort from Nintendo to kind of mitigate the loophole that a lot of developers have been using to get their games on the chart, like charting a lot higher. Apparently there was a loophole in which developers would discount their games like super cheap, like 99 cents, sometimes like less, so more people would buy them because obviously they're cheaper, and that would bring them up to, you know, the highest selling list, you know, on top of that list. And you know, it just gives you more exposure. So it's kind of like a promotional loophole. It's an advertising loophole. It's kind of scummy though, but I mean, but here at Nintendo Everything reports that according to SMG studio boss Ash Ringrose, a new rule has been set up. The lowest you'll see a game is now $1.99, excluding free-to-play titles, of course. Last month, Game Discover co-founder Simon Carl spoke about Nintendo's efforts to clamp down on those looking to exploit the Switch eShop charts with heavy discounts. In the past, publishers and developers could easily claim the top spots with a high percentage sale. Nintendo first excluded games that were discounted to a penny. The decision to set the minimum price of Switch eShop titles at $1.99 followed more recently. Of course, like, games are expensive, man. Like, people are always looking for a deal. I don't blame them. You know, it is entertainment at the end of the day, and entertainment is essential to human life. There's a whole sociology class behind why entertainment is very important in society, but I kind of feel for, you know, the people who probably only have $1 to spend on a game. But hey, if this kind of mitigates the whole issue right now that the eShop has with shovelware games, with just extremely low quality games, you know, I feel the Switch, the eShop, is slowly becoming what the Wii was. You know, its library. The Wii had a huge issue with shovelware games. Like, it was, I mean, you got games that had no business being part of the Wii library. But you know, I kind of understand why they're doing this. I hope that they actually, I mean, it's still like $2. You can still price a game for $2. I think that will still bring it up to, you know, the highest selling charts, wouldn't it? Like, I still don't think that's enough. I think this is more, if Nintendo wants to solve this, I think this needs to be part of the coding. This needs to be part of the I don't know, there needs to be some type of quality assurance process being set in place for the eShop if they want to, you know, mitigate the issues with shovelware and stuff like that. Because I mean, $2, you can still price a game for $2 and it can be still complete horseshit, and it'll probably still be up in the higher ranking charts. So hey, if anybody knows why this is currently being priced just to $2, I mean, are they going to do anything to mitigate the actual issue? Like, because this sounds like more of an eShop categorization issue rather than, you know, a pricing issue. But let's check out what the eShop is saying. Oh, I didn't want to play a game. Sorry, this isn't a playthrough. Currently, this is not a playthrough session. Let's go and see the eShop and see what's happening right there or right now on the top selling games. Let's go bestsellers. All games. So what we got right now on the top bestsellers: Among Us, obviously. I think a huge part of it, obviously, it's the popularity, but it's also very cheap. It's only $5. Animal Crossing, you got all the first party, you know, the Nintendo published games. Human Fall Flat, $15.99. You know, I'm not seeing a lot of shovelware games around here. Maybe it's under the there's gotta be other was it under the featured or the great deals? Maybe it's the great deals. There we go, great deals. Cooking Simulator. Never mind, there's still some, you can definitely see there's some shovelware around here. I mean, CTRs and shovelware, to be completely honest. Carnival, speedrunners, Delicious 2, Cookster, Wingspan. Hey, you know what? I'm not really seeing a lot Urban Flow. We're not seeing a lot of like $1, $2 games right now. Guitar. This game's just called Guitar. Oh, does it teach you how to play guitar? I don't know. But I mean, yeah, this game. I mean, if shovelware were a game, this is it, I think. Hey, whatever, But hey, hopefully this mitigates the issue that a lot of developers have been kind of abusing over the past 3 years, almost 4 years since the Switch came out. But yeah, now on to our second news item of the week. And this one was huge. I discovered this one on Twitter. People were retweeting it, and I was like, yo, first of all, that's very clever from developers. And second of all, that is so cool. And I kind of want to do it, but I'm afraid that I'll break my Switch because you need a modded Switch for this. But apparently NPCs in Breath of the Wild are just Miis. Kinda. They're kinda just Miis, but not really. Let me show you right here. Here, the person who figured, kind of discovered how the technology or how the modding behind NPCs for Breath of the Wild work is at Hey I'm Heroic. They say, hi, me expert here. Turns out the NPCs in The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild use an advanced version of the Mii format. This means that with modding, you can inject Miis into the game. Thinking about opening commissions for Mii injects, okay, some self-promotion as, get your coin, king or queen. I don't know what they identify as. But here they posted this little graphic that you're seeing now on the screen. With modding, it's possible to convert and import Miis into The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild NPCs, etc., etc. Here you can see Barret. They imported a Mii, the Mii version of Barret from Final Fantasy VII, from Smash Ultimate into the game. There's obviously like some, it's not going to be a one-to-one import because the technology, or at least the way that Breath of the Wild uses Miis to create NPCs is kind of different. It's a little bit more customized to the game, but it still looks like my guy Barret. Of course, you still got the elf ears. Matt from Wii Sports doesn't remember Matt, the king of sports, the athlete of the universe. Here you got and basically just a bald black man. But hey, it works. Even Alice, the person who discovered this, they imported their own personal Mii and I brought them into the game. I created a Mii version of the person in the game. Also the gunner from Smash Ultimate was also imported on here. Furthermore, here Polygon goes a little bit more into detail as to how this kind of works. Obviously, the art style of Mii and the characters in Breath of the Wild is quite different, but the two use essentially the same attributes and parameters. It's a convenient way for the game to generate unique NPCs at a large scale. The modder figured out what their Mii would look like in Breath of the Wild, though the game converted the Mii's hairstyle, which was not one of the Breath of the Wild hair options, into one that is supported. Hats and other headwear are likewise just converted into different hairstyles too. Importing Miis to Breath of the Wild isn't necessarily laborious, but it does require a modded Nintendo Switch or Wii U and then extracting and editing a Mii file from the game to take the same attributes as the Mii file. It's also replacing a specific NPC, so you'd have to find where they are and visit them in the world to see for yourself. Hey, I think this is very crafty from the Breath of the Wild developers. It's a neat workaround to kind of like, take away a lot of the processing that would, the engine would probably have to do on the go. NPCs aren't necessarily something that you interact a lot in Breath of the Wild. They're obviously spread out across the whole land, but I'm guessing it's completely randomized. This is just speculation, by the way. I'd imagine this is completely randomized the way it creates the NPCs, and you know, it probably just takes some default settings or some default Miis that are already in the system. I would love to try this out. I would love to see what I look like in Breath of the Wild, or at least my Mii form, because I'm not very good at design Miis. But hey, more power to them. Also, more power to the person at Hey I'm Heroic on Twitter for figuring this out, discovering this. They did obviously give a lot of props to the Breath of the Wild modding Discord. Here says, hey, I'm Heroic, credit to the Breath of the Wild modding Discord with a lot of assistance, especially in testing and providing screenshots of the conversions from Mii to game. Hey, shout out to them. If you want to check out more what Hey I'm Heroic is all about, they do have a Google site. It's currently up on the screen if you're watching the video version of this podcast. It's sites.google.com/view/Mii library. I'll link it down below in the description as well. But yeah, hey, they didn't lie that they were Mii experts. That's just crazy. They got a whole library of Miis out here. Shout out Miis, man. Shout out to Miis. They really are one of Nintendo's greatest accomplishments. I also think it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of stuff people imported to the game. I mean, the modding scene in Breath of the Wild is insane. It's crazy to me seeing just how much they've squeezed out of that game. Like that game keeps amazing. Like it keeps surprising me each and every year. It's been out for 4 years now, and it still like blows my mind the stuff that people are creating from this game, and the stuff and the ways that this game was developed. Like there's so much magic behind it that I'm amazed. I can't wait to see what Breath of the Wild 2 has in store. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now that we kind of gone through the bigger items, news items of the week, let's get a little bit more into the meaty stuff. This one was huge. This I say this as a Luigi's Mansion fan. I say this as a Mario Strikers fan. I just say this as a Nintendo fan. I'm very, very excited for the next steps that Nintendo will be taking as part of their merger and acquisitions strategy. I don't know what it is. Like for the longest time, Nintendo has been only hiring third-party developers to develop their games. They kind of offloaded a lot of their developing outside of house. So does this mean that they're turning a page and now they want to like do what Microsoft has been doing by by acquiring a lot of these third-party developers, a lot of these studios, and you know, amping up the production? Because you know, it kind of feels like Nintendo is doing this. So first of all, IP, they obviously want to protect their IP, but I also think that they're trying to ramp up the development of their games. By acquiring a studio, they kind of have exclusive accessibility to their resources, to their time, to their developers, to just develop games for Nintendo. So they don't have to worry about third-party studios such as what I'm about to talk, Next Level Games, such as them like taking away developers from them developing, let's say, Luigi's Mansion 4. I still don't know if they're doing that, but to produce another game, because Next Level Games have been known to produce other stuff besides Nintendo games. So we'll see. But at the same time, as I say that, Nintendo last time that Nintendo bought a third-party developer or studio was in 2007. That was a long time ago. That was 14 years ago now. 14 years ago since they acquired Monolith Soft. And has there been a ramping up of Xenoblade games? Kinda, but not really. Like, not to the point that, you know, it's not a FIFA game for sure. But here, obviously, Nintendo acquired Next Level Games. Here, Daniel Ahmad tweeted, Nintendo has acquired Next Level Games. Nintendo is extremely conservative when it comes to merger and acquisitions, with its last major acquisition being Monolith Soft in 2007. So why did Nintendo acquire Next Level Games now, and what does it mean for both companies? Quick thread below. Next Level Games has been a key partner for Nintendo since 2005 when it first worked on Super Mario Strikers. Great game. Where's the next iteration of this game? We need more sports games, as I just said on my 2021 as Nintendo in 2021 video, which I'll link up right above here. Make sure to check it out. These are all my speculations and my educated guesses as to what's going to happen with Nintendo this year. It has been working exclusively with Nintendo since 2011, and its recent release, Luigi's Mansion 3, has sold over 8 million units and is on track to outsell the prior two games combined. That is notable. That is notable because we both know that the first Luigi's Mansion game was a cult classic. It became a cult classic. You ask any GameCube owner and they'll probably, 4 times out of 5, they'll say that they played Luigi's Mansion. So that's very notable. Nintendo moved to acquire the studio for 3 key reasons: to acquire a talented studio with proven success, to strengthen internal development on owned IP, to avoid the Next Level Games being sold to a different company whose interests may not lie with those of Nintendo. Like I said, this is very, this was expected, so to speak. They wanna have exclusive access to these studios' time. Over the past few years, this is continuing from the same thread. Over the past few years, we have seen an increase in M&A activity in the video game sector, with large tech and gaming companies acquiring development studios. In most cases, this is fueled by the rising value of IP and the need to build talented teams. In this case, Nintendo is not engaging in M&A for the same reason that, say, Microsoft did in regards to Bethesda. For them, it's simply the 3 reasons above, with the primary aim to strengthen internal development and integrate NLG as an internal team working on owned IP. There won't be much change to Nintendo's M&A strategy going forward, and I don't expect, this is Daniel speaking, and I don't expect them to engage in the same way that other gaming tech companies have done so. Nintendo may make additional moves to secure studios like Intelligent Systems or Grezzo if needed though. Nintendo's greatest asset is its IP, and that is what shapes its M&A philosophy. And shout out to Gene Park. He's become one of my favorite Twitter users on Twitter. He tweets as a response, because Luigi's Mansion 3 was a banger, and I wholehearted relax. I wholeheartedly agree. Luigi's Mansion 3 is a banger. It's a great game. It's amazing for me to see what Next Level Games was able to achieve with the Switch, with its hardware. Like the graphics on Luigi's Mansion 3 are the best graphics I've seen from a Nintendo Switch game so far. Breath of the Wild, obviously it's a beautiful game, but it lacks a lot of clarity. It lacks a lot of that sharpness. It's a little bit of a blurry game, so to speak. There's a lot of smudging around happening with Breath of the Wild, but Luigi's Mansion 3 is a crisp game. It looks amazing. The lighting effects are beautiful. The environments are so well lit. Like everything's so stylized amazingly, and like Next Level Games, for them not to be an in-house studio from Nintendo, they did amazing. They have great talented people out there, and I'm excited to see what this means for Next Level Games. They obviously have now more access to resources, and when I say resources, I mean moolah, I mean money. They got Nintendo money now. That's nothing to scoff at. Nintendo money is like, it's astronomically, indefinitely huge. It never ends. So it'll be, I know, like I said on my 2021 Nintendo in 2021 video, I did predict, and I hope that there will be more of these sports games, these crazy arcadey sports games like Mario Strikers. We need one. We need games like this on the Switch. The Switch is the perfect console for these types of games. Like you can play it on the go, you can play it anywhere. Like they're great party games. Like I don't know why the Switch hasn't had a lot of those types of games now currently. But I also think that they're going to be working on some first party, either Luigi game or a Mario game. I don't know. This is all speculation, but I hope this gives them the opportunity to further expand on their current offerings as far as next level games goes. They need to. I'm Nintendo. Like they know what they're doing, and I really hope that this is good news for gamers such as myself. And now for our second big news item of the week. Well, this is our 1, 2, 3. This is our fourth news item of the week. I won't call it big because everything that I've been talking about so far is pretty important, I should say. But this one is astounding, and it's mostly it's all based on just preliminary findings, preliminary figures. There hasn't been an actual specific sales figure coming from this, but this is amazing to me. In the UK, the Switch has sold as much as the PS5, the PS4, the Xbox Series X, and the Xbox Series S. The Xbox One combined in 2020. There were more Switches sold in 2020 than all of those consoles I just listed combined. Now, as we all know, the PS5 has had the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, next gen consoles, have had a terrible console launch. I'll be the first one to tell you that, first of all, I lost years of my life trying to secure a PS5. It's in the back now, in the back of my shot here, if you're watching the video version of this podcast. But scarcity, obviously, because of the pandemic, there's no inventory. Scalpers, resellers, bots did not help at people who actually want to play these consoles, acquire these consoles. So this is a huge reason as to why I believe that the Switch sold more than all of these consoles combined. Obviously, the PS4 and the Xbox One are on their way out, so probably not a lot of people are currently, saving up to buy any of those consoles. So that kind of is probably a big enough reason to as to why they didn't sell as much as Switches. But that's amazing to me. That's amazing to me just to read about. One big reason here, NintendoEverything.com states, one big reason for Switch's success in 2020 was Animal Crossing New Horizons, as we all know. It was the second best-selling box game of the year in the UK. Looking at individual platforms, Animal Crossing was the top seller overall, outperforming the PS4 version of FIFA 21. And from my understanding, FIFA games are huge on the UK, in European markets in general. So wow, this is just amazing to me to just see the Nintendo Switch's reign over the consoles continues to be, stronger than ever. I don't know how Nintendo is going to capitalize, up because of this. Let's hope that, going forward, this can only mean that there's more users on the platform. Like, Nintendo's got to look at this and be like, yo, if we're outselling Sony, if we're outselling Microsoft, mind you, Sony and Microsoft have 2 generations of consoles currently in the market. They have the PS4, the Xbox One, and they have the next gen consoles. If they're outselling those consoles that much, you have to wonder what Nintendo has up their sleeve. Like, they gotta keep these people engaged. They gotta keep these users engaged with their console. Of course, the Switch is probably the cheapest of the consoles. It's only $300, and it's a hybrid console, but it's basically a home console. You have to kind of think that this is why it is the most, the top seller of the consoles. But I'm excited to see what Nintendo will do with this reign. They have so many users on the Switch, on the platform currently, that this can only mean that, first of all, competition is booming. So Nintendo's going to start developing more games. It's going to keep adding to the Switch's library. As we all know, I mean, we don't know a lot about their 2021 lineup, aside from a couple of releases, first party releases. But, Nintendo's got to see this and be like, we got to stop putting out more first party titles, because those are the big sellers of consoles. As we all know, Mario Kart was one of the biggest sellers for the Nintendo Switch. Smash Ultimate, like they gotta keep going with the first party. If not, their trail upwards is gonna start to die down. And I think this is a good segue to what is in the future for Nintendo, because this is our last topic of the podcast. And as I've always said on my videos, I am an expert at segues. So what is in store for Switch in 2021? I'm glad you asked, my loyal listener. The Switch Pro will have an OLED screen, apparently, and it will be capable of 4K graphics, allegedly. This is all hearsay for now. There has been some confirmed reports from data miners that this is coming. Take it with a grain of salt. And as I said, I don't like to report on rumors, but this rumor has been gaining credibility as the months go by. I know it's trend for every single new year for people to start saying, this year's the year that the Switch Pro is coming out. Well, now we have some evidence that it may be coming sooner than later. Here, GameSpot reports a Switch Pro will have an OLED screen. Datamined claims it looks like the rumors of a Switch Pro may be inching towards reality. According to known data miner Cyrazem, I don't know how to say that name, I'm sorry. Nintendo's latest firmware update contains mention of an upgraded Switch console codenamed Aula, which, fun fact, if anybody is listening and is not a Spanish speaker, Aula means classroom in Spanish. So what does that mean? I don't know. It can mean a bunch of different things. Hey, imagine if they start putting like Switch consoles in classrooms and like using them for teaching tools. I'm sure that's already a thing. I don't know yet, but yeah, whatever. This is what's happening. This lends additional credence to the theory that Nintendo has a Switch Pro model and its plans for the near future has been rumored for months, yada, yada, yada. Aula, the code name for the Switch console, the upgraded Switch console, the alleged Switch console, allegedly uses the same Marico, the Tegra X1 chip that was implemented with the Switch Lite and updated 2019 regular model Switches. So this doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be an upgrade on the processing chip, but this might mean that the chip will be pushed to higher clock speeds. As we all know, battery life was way better in the 2019 kind of upgraded version. It's not an upgrade. It is. The 2019 any Switches that were released 2019 and up, they do have a better battery life. I'm of course talking about the red box Switches, the Nintendo Switches that are sold that come in red boxes. Those have a better battery life, meaning that they're better performing. Like the chip just performs a lot better and drains power from the battery a lot less. I'm not entirely sure if those Switches currently are underperforming, meaning that they're not overclocking the chip speeds. So hey, this might mean that there will be an upgrade, but not necessarily in the way that we all probably speculate. The data miner also claims that the firmware mentions support for a Realtek chip, which has been advertised as a 4K UHD multimedia SoC. Bloomberg's report on Nintendo's upgraded console from August mentioned that the new system will likely support 4K graphics. So this chip may be how Nintendo is looking to do that. Beta fans will be excited to note that that hardware-wise, the next Switch console will supposedly have an upgraded display in the form of an OLED screen. However, the data miner noted that the display will likely not be a higher resolution when in handheld mode, and that the 4K chip may be located in the dock instead of the tablet itself, meaning you would only be able to play in 4K when your Switch is docked. A screen of that resolution would not provide much benefit at the Switch's size, so this would make sense. this is a huge discovery. Like people have always alluded that the upgraded Switch version that was coming is going to be 4K ready, and as we all know, Nintendo did ask their publishers a while back to start developing their games 4K ready. And like I said in my Nintendo in 2021 video, there's been rumors that the Switch Pro might be will be utilizing AI upscaling to upscale their resolutions up to 4K. But this is a huge discovery. Now it's kind of like looking that like the chip would actually, the actual chip that lets you upgrade to 4K is going to be on the dock, not necessarily the Switch. That makes a lot of sense though, because the dock currently, it kind of upscales already. It serves as an upscaler, so to speak. It upscales your Switch's output from 720p. I think the highest that you can do on the handheld is 720p up to 1080p. So it looks like they're only utilizing this technology on the dock. So it's not necessarily a Switch upgrade, it's a dock upgrade. Interesting. This is very interesting. Obviously, currently the Switch, the current Switch version only has a backlit LED screen. I mean, just a backlit screen. So there's been rumors that an OLED screen, obviously this will make it look a lot crisper. The colors are gonna look a lot better. So a lot of the stuff that I said on my 2021 video are correct. Yes. Somebody should pay me for this information, bro. For those who enjoy playing in handheld mode, this is more of the GameSpot article. For those who enjoy playing in handheld mode, Aula will allegedly also feature substantially better battery life and cooling. The upgraded original Switch currently has the most battery life of the lineup, with the Switch Lite coming in second and the launch Switch in third. None of them provide a drastically long battery life. However, there still is no confirmation from Nintendo. Doug Bowser, Doug Bowser, everybody knows Doug Bowser. I don't know why I'm even trying to remember his title. In a recent interview, he did say that, what did he say? Oh, he said, sorry, the momentum on Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch Lite in the fourth year is strong, and we believe we're changing the trajectory of another typical console life cycle, and we will continue for the foreseeable future to really lean into both of those platforms and the content that comes with it, because it's the symbiotic relationship that makes the real difference, and is why Nintendo Switch is so differentiated. There's been also a lot of talk from a lot of people saying that going forward, the Switch is the be all and end all for Nintendo going forward. People have been saying that going forward, this is all that's going to be as far as Nintendo consoles. It's going to be a hybrid version. As we all know, Nintendo has been king in providing us with both a home console and a handheld console. But with the Switch, like, those lines have blurred out. Like, there's no longer just a home console or a handheld console. Now it's a hybrid. And there's been a lot of talks of people saying that the Switch is going to be an evolving piece of hardware. It's their platform, it's going to be their device. Think of it as like an iPhone. The iPhone has little upgrades here and there every single year, and it's only like jumps in like five-year jumps that you start seeing like huge upgrades. People have started to speculate that the Nintendo Switch might be probably one of the last fully like new designed consoles. Like, going forward, this is all it's going to be for Nintendo. It's going to be a hybrid console, whether that be the Nintendo Switch 2, the Nintendo Switch 3, etc. People don't know yet, but here Doug Bowser obviously says that they're changing up they're mixing up the traditional console life cycle. Like, does that mean it's going to be just a constant little hardware upgrades here and there, much like the iPhone does, or what does this mean going forward? Are they going to stick to hybrid solely? I hope they do, because it's a great business model. I think going forward, there's no other way that Nintendo can go besides using the hybrid console, because it's such a great thing. Like, Yeah, it's the be all and end all. Like, you can take it on the go, you can dock it and play it in your home TV. Like, hey, it's just amazing to me how Nintendo has been approaching this. But hey, I'm so excited. I know this was a very Nintendo Switch heavy episode, but I'm very, like I said on my previous video, and this is, I don't care, I'm gonna keep plugging this video in because I love that video and I worked hard on it. But my Nintendo in 2021 video, like I said, this year is gonna be monumental for the Nintendo. Obviously with the rumors about the upgraded Switch kind of now having some weight to them, you just have to wonder what they're gonna, what's in store for them with them acquiring next level games out of the blue. By the way, I don't think anybody saw this coming. That can only mean there's gonna be more effort into the software, and with these little upgrades to the hardware with OLED screens with 4K upscaling. Like, hey, I think this is gonna be the year for Nintendo. If Sony and Microsoft don't get it together with their stock, with their inventory, with them providing some more consoles out there, and also games. Like, people forget that what people love are games. Nobody really cares about the hardware anymore, especially with a hybrid console like the Switch. As we all see, people prefer the Switch, and I don't think it has to do with the pricing. Obviously it's more accessible, but the Switch has a perfect niche, a little nook in the market, and it's probably the most profitable nook to have, which is the hybrid market. Hey, that can only breed good things from Sony and Microsoft. As I always said, Microsoft needs to get on that handheld market ASAP. I know they have it in them. To produce some great handheld devices, but yo, where are they at? Like, I think they have a bad taste in their mouth after the whole PS Vita situation, that I kind of feel that they're gonna take their time to not mess it up again. And I hope that's true, because like I said, more competition in the handheld market is gonna put really like the sights on Nintendo to see what they upgrade the Switch on, or what the next step for them is gonna be. But I'm excited. Yeah, that's pretty much it, yo. Right now I'm just chopping it up with you. How you doing? Now, in all seriousness, I want to say thank you to every single one of you who listens to the podcast. Believe me, it doesn't go unnoticed. I see the views on YouTube. I see the views on, I see the plays on Spotify. I see your comments. As you all know, I do reply to almost all of your comments on YouTube. So, with that said, I'm the segue master. So, what do you think of the news that I just provided you? Switch games can no longer be sold for less than $2. Do you think that's a good way forward to kind of counteract the loophole that a lot of developers were using to kind of bring their games up in the charts, the eShop charts, and kind of counteracting the issue with shovelware games on the Nintendo eShop? What did you think about the NPCs in Breath of the Wild just using the same technology as Miis, and they're basically just upgraded Miis at this point? Like, anybody can inject their own Miis. Can't wait for Peter Griffin to be in Breath of the Wild. Shout out to the Peter Griffin Mii. I love that Mii. What do you think of Nintendo acquiring next level games? Do you think they're going to be they're changing their path of not buying a lot of these studios and kind of just working with them as third-party developers, or are they're just going to go full hands-on and just start buying all these studios like Microsoft does? Because we all know the most valued possession that Nintendo has is their IP. They don't have the best hardware. They kind of do have some of the best games, but like, there's some competition in that industry as far as software goes. So the biggest, most valuable thing that Nintendo has is their IP. And I feel, in my opinion, I feel they will start acquiring more of these studios so they can solely focus on Nintendo IPs, because that's the most valuable thing. That's what they gotta ride the wave on until eternity. What do you think about the news that the Switch has sold more then all the previous generation and all the next gen generation. What am I saying? All the next gen consoles combined in the UK. Do you think this has to do because of pricing? Because it's more accessible to buy a Switch rather than a next gen console or even a previous gen console? Or do you think it's just because the Switch has great games? The Switch has games. The Xbox doesn't. And Sony sucks at providing inventory for their consoles. So what is it? What is it? Is it inventory? Is it games? You tell me down below. And also, what do you think of these new details Datamined from the latest Nintendo Switch firmware update? Do you think there will be actually an upgraded console coming for the Switch? Or do you think it's going to be more of like, I don't know. Now that I'm saying it, now that I'm asking the question, I'm starting to think, what if they're only working on an upgraded dock? What if that's the whole upgrade? Like, if you want to play 4K, buy this dock. Your current Switch, even if it's base one, it already kind of, I don't know. I don't know much about details as far as how the hardware goes, but that's an interesting thought. Maybe they're just working on the dock, because we know that's what actually upscales the image from the Switch. So you let me know. Do you think these reports, these rumors, these data mines give any credence to the speculation of a Switch Pro coming this year? You let me know down below. But folks, I've been True Fernie. If you like this video, if you're watching the video version of the podcast, please make sure to like and subscribe. If you're listening to on Spotify, please make sure to follow the podcast on there. Make sure to stay updated. I do release this podcast. I release new episodes of this podcast every single week. Obviously it's all gaming news related, but you know, if you're into that, what up? And yeah, links to my socials are down below. If you're watching the video version, please make sure to follow me on Twitch, where I'm starting to catch up again on streams. I've kind of been taking a little break here and there. As you know, anybody follows me on Twitter knows that I recently put in my letter of resignation. I am quitting my job. There is but don't worry, I'm a realist. I'm not just gonna be, you know, jobless. There is a huge career change coming my way in starting next month. So hopefully I'll have more time to kind of dedicate to my YouTube channel, to the podcast, to the streams. So make sure to follow me on all that. And yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. Thank you for listening. I appreciate y'all. With that, I've been True Fernie. I already said that. I don't care. But please take care of each other. But most importantly, take care of yourself. Wear a mask. We're still in this. We're still in this pandemic. Y'all stay safe. Peace.